Coming up on Global Business, China's Ministry of Commerce says the country reduced the number of items on the negative list for foreign investment to attract foreign international investors. The annual meetings of the IMF and World Bank are underway in Marrakesh, Morocco, with the main focus being on debt restructuring and global cooperation. And we take a look at the project under the Belt and Road Connect program, and it collects the global economy as initiative celebrates 10 years. From CGTN headquarters here in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Zhen Jingfeng. President Xi Jinping has called for stronger efforts to pursue the high-quality development of the 11 municipalities and provinces along the country's longest river, the Yangtze. He made the remarks in a meeting he chaired on the Yangtze River Economic Belt. The president praised local government's efforts to prioritize ecological conservation and green development since the blueprint for the river economic belt was unveiled in 2018. She said the region's high-quality development hinges on the healthy ecological environment of the Yangtze River basin. Governments at all levels must double down efforts to protect ecosystems, tackle air and soil pollution, and continue the 10-year ban on fishing in the river. He also called for more innovation and for the region to leverage their technology edge and talent pool to modernize industrial and supply chains, foster advanced manufacturing, and merge the digital economy and the real economy. He stressed the strategic position of the economic belt in connecting both domestic and international markets, adding that part of the capital, technology, and labor-intensive industries in Yitong province can be transferred to central China. President Xi also urged the 11 provinces and municipalities of the economic belt to better integrate and coordinate their efforts. President Xi Jinping continued his inspection of Jiangxi province on Wednesday, visiting Jingdezhen and Shangrao. Jingdezhen is China's most important ceramic production center, making fine porcelain for over 1,000 years. Xi Jinping learned about the preservation and inheritance of the craft. He also visited the AVIC Changhe Aircraft Industry Corporation and learned its technological innovations. In Shangrao, Xi Jinping visited a village in Wuyuan County, where he inspected wetland park, ecological conservation, and rural revitalization. China will continue to shorten the negative list for foreign investments, a Ministry of Commerce spokesperson said on Thursday. The ministry is looking into the feasibility of cancelling or relaxing restrictions of equity caps on foreign invested enterprises, according to the spokesperson. In 2021, China slashed the number of restricted business sectors to 27 in free trade zones and 31 were applied nationwide. These are the sectors where certain ownership limits of other investment restrictions apply. This year's Qingdao Multinational Summit is drawn to a close on Thursday, having gathered representatives from over 400 multinational corporations. Our reporter Zhou Yixin talks to the companies to get their views on business prospects in China. Let's hear what they had to say.
So the Chinese chemical market is actually the largest and fastest growing chemical market in the world. So by 2030, 50% of chemical production will be in China. And I think that's where we have a lot of opportunity. Our share of sales is only 13% in China, so I think there's room to grow. And that's why we decided to invest in Zhanjiang in Guangdong province, actually to make that investment in a chemical footprint. And this investment is the largest single investment of BASF Group globally at the moment. So I think that shows our commitment and dedication.
Well, I think compared to the challenges we see in the world, that business in China is a lot more stable and resilient. On top of that, we see a trend where we see increasing innovation and invention in China. And as our company has a strong local-for-local strategy, we actually believe we are well suited to serve our Chinese customers better being here in China.
疫情的3年期间，双向集团张爱华在14个不同的城市建设新的事业的基地或者扩建新的事业的基地。今年是已经过了9个月的时间了，我们在3个不同的城市，是苏州、还有广州、 还有杭州，已经开始建设还是扩建新的事业的基地。这个事实是很简单的证明松下集团对中国的未来的发展有很大的信心。
I believe China is always going to have a pretty stable economy, even though they want to grow it very fast. And we're in the ag business, so when economies get slow, usually people focus on food security and agriculture, and that's our business. So we feel confident that we can grow in China in the ag business.
So the various dimensions that I just mentioned, the ability to improve, to grow, ability to scale, ability to innovate, ability to transform, and ability to control the cost, are those things that the Chinese companies or the Chinese entrepreneurs, they are aware of this. So I think this will improve in a very good way. And this is what I observed, and this is what I heard from from my MNC friends, colleagues, and clients, particularly when they compare China as an investment destination to other countries like in the Southeast Asia, like in the Europe, like in the South America. Those are the elements that they're assessing, and they think that Chinese are ahead of most of the countries.
Earlier, I spoke to Nicolas Boss, CEO and president of Van Cleef & Arpels, to find out why the French jewelry brand chose to extend its footprint in China.
In China, in the rest of Asia, in the rest of the world, really develop, I would say redevelop, as a very prominent clientele. And it's also a very interesting and important context for an initiative like L'École, because I think the appreciation in China, and I would say probably in Asia in general, but for sure in China, for decorative arts, for applied arts, for craftsmanship is very, very high. If you think of antique, Chinese jewelry, gold jewelry, I mean, there is like fantastic traditions here. I mean, like, it's really part of culture. It's a great way for us to consolidate some bridges and to create a dialogue with our own tradition, or the tradition that we represent originally, which is more the European tradition.
You're watching Global Business. Come up next. The annual meetings of the IMF and World Bank are underway in Marrakesh, Morocco, with the main focus being on debt restructuring and global cooperation.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business. Only on CGTN.
It's been 4 days since the annual meetings of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund opened in the southern Moroccan city of Marrakesh, where the focus this year is the African region. For more, let's cross to our reporter Uche Okoronko for us. Uche, we're 4 days into the discussions and annual meetings. What are some of the major outcomes that have emerged?
Well, thank you. And certainly all eyes here have been on just how much movement leaders are willing to make on that push to reform the global financial system. And certainly we have seen movement so far. From the World Bank, we had President Ajay Banga finally give us some more insight into his plan to redefine the vision of the bank going forward. He said he's pledging $100 billion in funding in the next few decades. He also said that he'll increase climate financing, 50% of it going to adaptation and 15% to mitigation going forward. He said he's also going to change the strategy and focus of the bank to focus on eradicating poverty with what he called a more livable plan for everyone. He said also he's changing a strategy to look at more output and knowledge transfer rather than just the dollars that the bank has to offer. From the IMF, we also had some positive movement. Georgieva said that there's been some progress and growing consensus when it comes to issues such as the debt framework under the G20. She also said 40 member states, some of them new, are now pledging $40 billion in funding going forward. She also said she's pushing forward the enhancing rather the voice of emerging markets and developing nations from the continent. For example, she said they are proposing to the board that Africa gets another seat, or the third seat rather, on the board. Now, of course, we also have the release of some key reports here this week. We have the World Economic Outlook, and we have the Global Financial Stability Report. Not such a good news for the global economy. They said prospects are tilted more to the downside, the worst we've seen in decades. And of course, they responded to that escalation of violence in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They said it's still, while it throws so much uncertainty into the mix, it's still too early to know how that changes their projections and, of course, the global economic outlook going forward.
Thank you so much for that, Uche Orokoronkro, for us in Marrakesh, Morocco. For more discussions on the meetings, we're joined by John Gong, Vice President of Research and Strategy at University of International Business and Economics. Professor, with the IMF forecasting global economic growth at 3% this year, down from 3.5% from 2022, and citing reasons like higher interest rates, regional conflicts, what's your analysis of this situation?
I think it's very much expected with two major wars going on in the world right now. Development and growth just cannot happen smoothly without a peaceful environment. So I think we're just starting to see the impact of the war in Israel. And this is a region where most important commodities originates. Whether it's going to have a much broader impact still waits to be seen. So I think at this point, we still have a few more months left for the rest of the year. The economic outlook for the rest of the year is not going to be sanguine by any means.
The IMF prediction indicates the U.S. economy growing by 2.1%, Eurozone by 0.7%, and China at a robust 5% this year. How does China and other emerging economies' resilient growth contribute to the global economy?
Yeah, when it comes to Chinese economy, there were a lot of negative things coming from the press back in June and July and August. I think the numbers in the last 2 months are starting to indicate that the China's economy is actually gradually coming back. And I think 5% growth compared to the rest of the world is a very robust number. If we can achieve that, I'm pretty sure we can actually achieve that target of around 5% set by the central government. So I think if we are on track to achieve that goal, that would be an enormous accomplishment compared to the rest of the world, compared to Eurozone, compared to the United States. I think one thing we can learn from this is that how precious and how important it is to have a peaceful environment. Very thankfully, we have had peaceful environment for so many years in China, and that's one of the things that is foundational to China's economic performance at this point.
When you said China's robust or remarkable 5% growth target for this year is facing a very challenging global environment, the IMF has observed a significant increase in new trade restrictions imposed by all kinds of countries, numbering nearly 3,000 last year compared to fewer than 1,000 in 2019. This has led to a sharp decline in international trade, expected to grow by just 0.9% this year compared to, historic average of around 5% every year. And in this evolving environment, how do you suggest China, an export country, should adapt?
Yeah, so I think trade is experiencing a lot of challenges ahead. We are no longer living in a world where free trade is championed as something so natural, so important, and so much self-evident. I think the major Western economies, especially the United States, is no longer talking about free trade anymore. Instead, they're talking about a fair trade. They're talking about safe trade. All of these concepts originally from the experience the last 3 years the era of COVID, the era of wars happening right now, and also, in my view, in an era of more inward-looking. But I think we are the world's largest trading nation. I think China will continue to champion the banner of free trade, and I think it's really important that China continues to be open-oriented. And we export a lot of things. We export particularly in rising industries. So as a result, this is the time that China carries on the baton of free trade, and by that it means that China itself needs to be open and to be more open-oriented, continue to open reform policies, adopt a ever-decreasing negative list, and these are the measures that we have to take in order to carry free trade forward. And I think this is the challenge lying ahead.
Thank you so much for insights. That's Professor John Gong from the University of International Business and Economics. Let's move on to some other business headlines. The U.S. Consumer Price Index, a closely followed inflation gauge, rose 3.7% in September from a year ago. The reading was higher than expectations, according to the U.S. Labor Department on Thursday. The British economy showed signs of a partial recovery in August, following a sharp drop in July. However, the overall picture remains one of the slow growth influenced by last year's surge inflation and 14 consecutive interest rate hikes by the Bank of England. The International Energy Agency has revised down its oil demand growth projection for 2024. This adjustment reflects the impact of challenging global economic conditions and advancements in energy efficiency, which are expected to curtail consumption. You're watching Global Business. Come up next. We take a look at how projects under the Belt and Road connects the global economy as the initiative celebrates 10 years.
We're stepping out of the studio to take you on a brand new journey along the Belt and Road.
With a mission to record how the initiative has changed lives and livelihoods.
We travel to over 20 countries.
Division Libertad Almaty, Kazakhstan.
À Dubaï, aux Émirats Arabes Unis.
Desde las calles de Río de Janeiro.
للمشاريع في Dhaka, Bangladesh.
We document not only infrastructure along the Belt and Road countries,
but also cultural links that bound the community with a shared future.
Stories of how they promote growth and improve lives.
We invite you
only on our special series of the New Silk Road.
In the first half of 2023, CHN Energy Investment Group's overseas assets surged to 65 billion yuan, demonstrating the remarkable progress made in its overseas development efforts under the Belt and Road Initiative. Company officials said on Thursday at a press conference that the group has effectively executed 14 overseas projects, extending its reach to 10 countries, including South Africa, Greece and Indonesia. These projects span various sectors such as coal, electricity and coal power integration. The group has also increased its investments in the new energy and renewable sectors, fostering a harmonious coexistence between its own growth and the development of local communities.
This year commemorates the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative. Throughout the past decade, we have been a proactive contributor to the initiative, executing substantial and impactful work in overseas project construction. This work has encompassed supporting local development, environmental preservation, job creation, enhancing people's quality of life, and fostering cultural exchanges.
The De Al wind power project, situated in De Al, South Africa, within the Northern Cape province, is a remarkable undertaking. This two-phase project represents a substantial investment of 2.3 billion yuan and boasts a total installed capacity of 244,500 kilowatts. Notably, it holds the distinction of being the inaugural wind power initiative in Africa to seamlessly combine investment, construction, and operation by a Chinese state-owned power generation company, marking a pivotal milestone.
A ceremony was held on Wednesday to mark the official inauguration of the first centralized wind power projects in Bangladesh, the Cox's Bazar wind farm, which was connected to the grid and commenced trial operation in May. The ceremony was held online in Beijing and Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh, with a total of 22 wind turbines. The installed capacity of this China-built project is 66 megawatts. It's expected to play a significant role in promoting local economic development, energy conservation, and environmental protection.
During the construction process, over 1,500 jobs were created in the local area. The plant can provide over 145 million kilowatt hours of green electricity annually, meeting the electricity demand of 100,000 households. We see this as a starting point and look forward to relying on Bangladesh's abundant renewable energy resources to continue deepening the development and utilization of clean energy.
The successful operation of Cox's Bazar wind power project marks a new era for the wind power sector in Bangladesh. It's important not only for renewable energy field, but also for power sector of Bangladesh. I hope, in line with Bangladesh-China strategic partnership, we'll see in the coming days more mutually beneficial cooperative projects such as the one we are launching today. Given the importance of these projects and given the fact that such projects are mutually beneficial, I will urge all concerned for the timely launching and completion of projects so that people can get its benefits and these projects can make their due contribution to our development schemes.
To discover the economic benefits of the BRI, my colleague Yang Chengxi goes to Turkey to explore the impact of a massive China-led infrastructure project.
This is Istanbul Airport, one of the world's busiest terminals, with about 200 million passengers per year. However, when travelers step out of the building and hit the bustling streets of this metropolis, it could take them up to an hour and a half to reach the city center. In January this year, a brand new airport metro line was opened, reducing the travel time to just 24 minutes. Wei Gongyi is the service center chief of this line.
This is the first phase of the airport line, with a total length of 34 kilometers. Operation began on January 22nd of this year. All the trains on this line are provided by our company, CRRC Zhuzhou Locomotive.
The train travels at 120 kilometers an hour, making it the fastest subway in Turkey, capable of ferrying up to 800,000 passengers per day.
Our current train configuration consists of 4 cars, but they're designed to be flexible and can be coupled together to form longer trains if needed. So if there are a lot of passengers, additional cars can be added to make it an 8-car train.
As we were filming, a passenger came up to offer advice to Wei.
I'm really happy to have this train here. It's very comfortable. I'm not taking any more shuttle bus. So far, I'm taking always this train for transportation to the city, Istanbul.
Safety is a top priority, with over 800,000 kilometers of smooth operation on the record. The last time a safety concern was triggered was during a major earthquake in southeast Turkey in February.
Within 15 minutes, we mobilized our on-site team to conduct an inspection of the vehicles. After careful examination, it was determined that the trains were indeed safe. We were only relieved then. Currently in the first phase of the project, the trains are fully automated. However, in the second phase of the project, all the trains will be upgraded to operate with unmanned driving. This line is a second phase project.
The new upgraded trains are locally manufactured in the capital Ankara, boosting local employment in this high-tech project. Yang Chengxi, CGTN, Istanbul, Turkey.
On the shores of the Red Sea in southern Saudi Arabia, Jazan Economic City has begun to take shape. It's been an important cooperation project under China's Belt and Road Initiative and a Saudi Vision 2030. My colleague Liu Jiaxing has a story.
Such a desert sunset has been seen by Qiao Yongli more than 3,000 times. In the once barren land, a planned new industrial city, Jazan Economic City, is being built. It's scheduled to be equipped with oil refineries, power plants, and administrative and living areas. Among them, the commercial port that Qiao Yongli helped to design and construct has been officially put into operation in September last year.
We have entered Saudi Arabia's Jazan Economic City in 2013. 10 years ago, it was sea at our feet. The place where we are now has transformed into a modern port.
It was Chinese plan to build this island. To widen the channel, engineers must dredge 15 million square meters of land. China proposed that instead of transporting the newly dredged soil inland, it would be better to use the soil to build an artificial island nearby. That's the one I'm standing on. It has not only become the dock of the harbor, but also increased the land area of Saudi Arabia by 4.32 million square meters. The port connects to Eurasian continent in the north and the Gulf of Aden in the south, an important maritime channel under the Belt and Road Initiative. In addition, this is a project under Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, which aims to transform the country's economy from oil-dependent to diversified sectors. However, the region has been adversely affected by the civil war in nearby Yemen. It wasn't until March that things got better.
In 2015, Saudi Arabia intervened in the civil war in Yemen, during which time we did encounter some difficulties. But at the beginning of 2023, under the mediation of China, Saudi Arabia and Iran have achieved reconciliation. Risks across the region immediately dropped.
On the other side of the city along the Red Sea, a seaside park was also built by Qiao Yongli and his team.
What a refreshing place to get some air. Local people tell me that they love to come here. Someone even drive 2 hours specifically for this. Such positive comments come not only from local residents, but also from project clients.
All the clients, they are very happy. Once you give them some line to work, then you forget. If the project is up for 3 years, they can complete in 2.5 years.
I almost laughed out loud. The comment sounded like a joke, but I could see the perseverance of many Chinese engineers like Qiao who believe that Jazan has great prospects. In his eyes, the opportunities lay not in the high-rise buildings, but in a land that has just started to transform. Liu Jiaxing, CGTN, Jazan.
With that beautiful story, we wrap up this edition of Global Business. I'm Junjie Feng. Thanks for watching. CGTN continues with more news and views. Stay with us.